Brother Tad here, G.C.B. I had a few subscribers wanted to know about what kind of surprise stuff would they may come across when they're building their their engines and stuff, or doing engine swap, building a car. It's a bunch of little tiny stuff, man, and it adds up quick. Little odds and ends stuff. Like nasty bitch here. Alright. You always got to take in consideration of wires and how you're gonna run stuff. I had to replace the fuel line, I had to replace that. The water pump was expensive on nasty bitch here. I had to buy a fuel pump. The lower hose, I had to hunt that. The upper hose, I still got to build the custom pipes to go to the heater core when that comes in. And then the biggest thing is spark plug wires. All right, you see how that's angled? Well, I don't know if you can see it. You see that spark plug? Well, you can't put a 90-degree wire on this because it'll be on the header and burn up, Like this one here, I know slick here, there was all kinds of stuff that popped up. Carburetor was bad. It was just non-stop with old slick here. But he bought the cheaper wires from O'Reilly's, and see, they're 90 degrees. You know what I'm saying? But it clears it, because it's more of a straight up and down compared to nasty bitch over here. It's more at a slant, So, spark plug wire is something you got to think about, Old shitty here got the wires from O'Reilly's for about 60 bucks, I think. This one here, I had to get wires from a performance site, because the part stores around here don't sell the ones that I actually need. Nasty bitch needed the 45-degree wires. Alright. And these are the wires I always buy for my personal builds. But this one came as a kit for $220. You got the 8 socks, which everybody knows that these socks are expensive as crap in the parts store. You can only buy two per pack. And I think white socks, a 2-pack, is like 30 bucks. But you go try, you can get a different color pair of socks. Yeah, you're paying an arm and a leg. But for $230, I got the wires I needed. I cut them down. And then I got these fancy clips here. These nice wire aluminum hold down clips, which comes in multiple colors. But, the theme is red with this one. This sensor here, if you're going to run electric fans, like my buddy is, you're going to have to hunt down that sensor. That sensor there, and let me see if I can put a light on it. That sensor there, part stores don't sell. You got to go online to find that. That's about $30 just for that. Then you got to buy the relay, and it just, depending on what you do, stuff just builds up and builds up and builds up. Like, I had to get the drive shaft cut down on this. That was $200. Oh man, the carburetor. Man, I caught hell with the carburetor on this, because this a hybrid carburetor. The center block of it's a Holly, but the outer blocks work and everything is a Demon. So I had to go to Summit Racing. Come to find out that this is a 950 carburetor. So it was $110 for a gasket kit for that, but that came with new seed valves and everything else, So that was a nightmare. That took about 3 weeks to hunt down to even figure out what I had. And because this had a little V6 in it, I had the transmission cross member has to be modified, and because we're running these freaking headers on it, I got to weld in a tube so the exhaust will flow straight back, which, you know, you see that in other videos. You know, like I said, old Slick here, you know, I mean, we caught hell with this one, you know. I mean, we had to flush out the radiator. I mean, we spent days upon days on this. I mean, I actually forgot about all the little odds and ends stuff on old Shitty here, but, you know, I caught hell on this one. You know, now it's back for brake work, but then we got Pops' truck here. This one's stacking up. Oh yeah, I still got to get transmission lines for Nancy bitch. This one here. Hold on a minute. Now for a perfect example for this one here. I'm in this one. We're about $300 deep in parts, and that's just to try and get it running. Like these little fittings down here. You know, you got a 90 degree fitting, and then you got another fitting that screws in it to connect the fuel lines to. You know, that right there was about $15-20 right there alone. You know, and then it didn't come with no transmission lines, so I had to run transmission lines, which those are $13 a piece. You know, the copper line, I always run copper for fuel lines. I mean, it seems to hold up a whole lot better, you know. And then this performance pump here, you know, I had to go and buy all this whole stuff here, which was close to 90 bucks. I had to get that 90 degree fitting down there, you know. Then I had to get the straight fitting, then the fitting inside the that goes inside the gearbox. 2 foot of hose, which this hose is freaking $20 a foot, man. It's expensive as crap. It didn't have an alternator plug. You know, I got this installed for them. You know, it's a reservoir to run that pump. But this one here is going to need the relays and everything else, you know, and that sensor. But this truck here, I'm just trying to get it running for now, you know. I mean, because so they can get it to paint. I don't know if the pump is bad from sitting for so long, the fuel pump, because the starter we had on it that was brought with this, it was turning it, but I still wasn't getting fuel. I put five gallons of fuel in this truck. I mean, I don't know if the plunge in the fuel pump might be bad. I'm hoping that I don't have this same issue with this carburetor like I did with Nasty Bitch from sitting for so long, you know. So let me take you out by Slick, and Slick racked up a whole lot of money. Let me get you out there. Alright, walking up the Slick now. Now, I'm still, you know, I'm putting the good white wires on this, you know, because that looks sloppy as hell, you know. But now for old Slick here, we kind of caught hell on this, you know. We had to change out the intake gasket because it wasn't right. You know, had to hunt. You know, I had an alternator, had a whatever you call that, water pump. You know, I got the electric fans hit up. You know, the one that I got on this one, it's about a 160 temp, and then that's when the fans kick on. But you know, we got to reuse the same transmission lines, which I was grateful, but you know, we had to hunt down the right length of hose here. We had to hunt down the lower hose. You know, then I had to build a nice fan shroud and install electric fan. The wiring, you know, I wanted that nice and neat. Come to find out, the carburetor's no good. You know, and this relay set up here, that ain't freaking cheap, man. But old Slick here has a hell of a stack of freaking receipts. Now, Nasty Bitch, if I would have got a running, driving truck, it wouldn't cost Nasty Bitch so much money, because I would just swap everything, the fuel setup, a radiator, all that stuff. I would just swap. The transmission lines, yeah, they had rubber hose running to the transmission line, so you know, I'm not gonna have that, you know, so I still gotta buy 2 steel transmission lines for it. You know, it cost me $200 to get the dry shaft cut down on that one. Old Slick here was $150 to get the dry shaft cut down. But it's just, when you don't have something already running, you're gonna jump into a lot of money, you know. Like I said, I wish Nasty Bitch, I wish the truck was running and driving like the pictures he showed me, the video, but it wasn't, so we had to go a whole different route with that. And while I was waiting for stuff, you know, that's when I decided, you know, let's tear it apart, let's look at it, you know, let's clean it up, let's paint it, let's get it really looking nice, you know. But you always got to keep in mind that you're gonna, the little odds and ends stuff will nickel and dime you. You know, like I said, I got a stack of receipts for each freaking car, man. And that's just something you gotta think ahead, you know. I mean, like Slick here, instead of an aluminum radiator, because he has the copper core one, we're just using that for now. Eventually, it's gonna be switched to an aluminum one, but it's gonna be that size. It's not gonna be oversized or anything. It's gonna be made to fit in this car. Let me see. Engine mounts. You gotta think about new engine mounts. You gotta think about bolts now. Nut bolts and washers are expensive as crap, man. Oh my gosh, and especially for the grade A bolts, man. I mean, for a box of 50, 3/8 inch and a quarter long, that's freaking $35 right there, you know. And then when you go to the longer ones, that's even more money. So you got to think about that. Nut and bolts. You don't want to use cheap bolts. You got to think about, let me see. You got to think about the plugs, the wires, what kind of distributor cap you're gonna run, what kind of carburetor you're gonna run, because carburetors are through the roof right now. But the bad thing is, if you get something that's been sitting for a while, has not been ran in years, you gotta expect you're gonna have an issue with the carburetor. You're gonna have an issue with the distributor. You always want to crack open the back of the water pump. Old Nasty Bitch was rusted solid, man. So it was $74 for a new water pump for Nasty Bitch. The fuel pump for freaking what was $50, I think. And then you got I just priced a new gas tank, front pads, rotors, rubber hoses, back drums, wheel cylinders, brake shoes, drum kit. That's $750 something right there, you know. So you can get pretty deep in a build. Our Mazda build, we're not in deep with that yet, because, you know, I had the engine, had the transmission. The intake was $150 for that. Still didn't buy a carburetor though yet. Still got a plumb transmission line. Still got to build a dry shaft for it. Still got to do all the wiring, you know, to move the original computer, so it's going to be ran with the computer. You know, some with the computer, some without the computer. So once we get back on our Mazda, that's really going to freaking start racking up money, you know. But you guys reached out. You want to know what to expect for? It's the little odds and ends stuff that's going to get you, man. Little odds and ends stuff. You know, the big ticket item, you know, that's only if it's been sitting for a long time, you know. But This is Brother Chad, G.C.B, Gangsta Custom Builds. I hope this helped you. Like and subscribe.